Welcome to Live on Purpose Radio with Dr. Paul Jenkins, where you will hear inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Feed your mind with a regular dose of positive energy and show up for your life every day on purpose. Living on purpose means that you have a purpose and you do it intentionally. And now, here's your host, Dr. Paul. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Live on Purpose Radio. This is Dr. Paul, the shrink, who expands your life, promoting pathological positivity. As always, here at Live on Purpose Radio, I have some fantastic guests in the studio with me today, and would like to introduce now Scott and Becky Mackintosh. Welcome, folks.
Thank you.
Dr. Paul, thank you for letting us come on your show.
Oh, this is exciting. I feel like I'm in the presence of celebrities.
Far from it, but yeah, I'm glad you think that.
Does that still freak you out a little bit, Scott?
It does, yeah. To be known for something is, just bizarre.
But the thing is, you're not known so much by your name.
No, I'm not even known by my face. If I was to wear my outfit, everybody would know me because they all saw
your
it.
Outfit. Let's talk about what that outfit is. Some of you may have seen this. In fact, it's probably less likely that you wouldn't have seen it. There was a viral video that went out. How long ago, Scott?
It's been in September.
Since September.
Actually, a picture.
A picture? Oh, it was just, it was a picture
yeah.
snapped by your son, wasn't it?
Exactly.
In a restaurant. Scott, you looked totally thrilled at the moment.
I didn't know he was taking the picture. That's why I was reading the menu on the wall. I had that blank look on my face.
It's become known as the Short Shorts Dad picture. I'm sure there's other words and names for it.
That's what they call me, or the Daisy Dukes.
You're the guy, the Daisy Dukes.
That's it.
You were in short shorts in a restaurant. You were wearing a T-shirt that said...
Best dad ever.
Best dad ever. And this thing just went viral. There's a whole story behind this. I'm not any good at telling this story. So, and I heard you share this for the first time personally. I'd seen some of the stuff online. But at our National Speakers Association, in our chapter meeting, just a couple of weeks ago, you shared this story, and I got to hear it firsthand, which is why you're here today.
Well, awesome.
Will you share that with our listeners?
Absolutely. You just want to hear the story.
What's the story? What happened with that?
Well, the story is that my daughter continually wore shorts that I didn't feel were appropriate. And we felt that we had pretty...
Dads are like that.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we try to be as fun as we can, but there's certain things that we try to put our foot down as well. And I didn't like it, and so I didn't know what to do. And my son actually told me that I should wear some shorts sometime and just surprise her. And I laughed, and I said, "That's really funny."
So he planted this idea.
Yeah, he's the one that told me.
I don't think
earlier.
I caught that before.
Yeah, he told me, and I said, that sounds really funny, but I don't think I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then the week later, we were going to go out to dinner and to miniature golf and do some fun things that night. And as we got ready to go, she came walking down, and I saw what she was wearing. And I just didn't even think. I just went upstairs and cut some pants and put them on and took them off and cut some more and put them back on and off we went. I came outside to do that shocking moment. She was already in the truck, so I stood there by my door hoping that she was going to see me.
Yeah, and how could she miss you?
Yeah,
right?
How could she miss me? But I stood there for 5 minutes and talked to her and my son. And neither one of them saw me because they were in their phones. They were texting. They were texting and had not a clue. For 5 minutes, I stood there in plain view, and they never saw me.
Becky, you saw him.
Oh, I saw him. I said, "What the heck are you doing?" He explained to me his plan, and I thought, okay, that's a good idea to get your point across. And normally if he had been talking to our kids for 5 minutes and their faces are in the phone, he'd say, "Excuse me, I'm talking to you, phone's down," or something. But he wanted it to happen naturally, and it just wasn't happening.
It wasn't happening. So then what?
So then Becky came out, and she just kind of looked at me, and I just shrugged my shoulders like I don't know what to do. And so I just sat in the truck and started it up. because this was all to happen at my home. This was not going on the road. This was going to happen at my home.
You were going to take this little show on the road.
She was just going to laugh. I was going to laugh. We'd go change and we'd go. But she didn't see it. So I just had to muster up so much courage and just start driving down the road. And Becky actually hoped I was just going around the corner and turning around and coming back or something. But I drove right to the restaurant, and I just had to think, I own this. And I got out and just walked in like there wasn't another person on earth. And I just had to get my mind wrapped around it. And that's when she saw me and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, shorts aren't so cute, are they?" And she immediately was like, well, I don't care. You know, she's 20 years old, almost 20 years old. She's 19. And she said, I don't care. It's going to be embarrassing to you, not me. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So we went in the restaurant. And,
no, you have to own it.
I had to. So we ate, and then we went over and went miniature golfing, and then grabbed some milkshakes on the way home, and just had a blast that night. And I just had to act like there wasn't anybody else watching me, because they were everywhere watching me. Yeah, I stood out like a sore thumb.
And not only that, your son had a camera. All kids have cameras now. If they're texting, they got a camera too, right?
They do.
What happened?
Their phones are equipped. So I was standing there looking at the menu on the wall, and he just had his phone out and just kind of had it in front of him like he was texting, but he was actually taking a picture. And then he took a picture of me. I didn't know that. And then we sat down and started eating. And then all of a sudden he just kind of blurts out, "Yo, I've got 60 shares on my Twitter."
Oh, no.
And I'm like, "What?" And my wife's like, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "I posted a picture." And
this is like before you're done with dinner even.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're just 10 minutes into it. And so she says, "Oh, I want to see it." So he showed her and showed my daughter. And they both put it on their sites. Becky put it on Facebook, and my daughter put it on Tumblr. And it just skyrocketed. And my daughter's Tumblr had 130,000 views by the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was
that
shared
is
all
insane.
Over. Yeah, it's
you didn't know you were so good looking.
Yeah, exactly. It was a horrible picture. But the funny thing about it is it went so viral because when all that happened, then the wrong story got out, the wrong message. And so Becky asked me to put it on her blog to write the real story because people were speculating. They just saw a picture and didn't know what the story was. So I wrote the story and put it on her blog. I really didn't think anybody would read it. I'm not a big blogger, and I didn't feel that anybody else would be either. And it just, that blog was hit over and over and over. And it was hit by Deseret News and KSL, and they called, and they wanted me on their news and to do a story. And then after that, it just kept going, and pretty soon we were getting called by Good Morning America, Today Show, Inside Edition, CNN. We were on CNN 3 or 4 times, Fox and Friends 3 or 4 times, on shows in Japan, on shows in Australia. I got a letter one time at my parents' house, some people that knew my parents that lived in Scotland. And they wrote a letter and said, "Could this by chance be your son?" And opened up the envelope, and there was a story from Inverness, Scotland in their newspaper of me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
It just took off.
Yeah.
So, I've got my own theories about why this took off. But you guys have learned a lot about this as you've talked to people and you've had a chance to share your story. Because now you do this quite often. You go around and speak. You share. You've created a book from this. What's the message? What is it that people are really resonating with here that made this thing take off? What do you think?
Well, at the bottom of the story in the blog, Scott said, what would make a dad do something like this to embarrass himself? Love for my daughter. He said, he wanted her to know how much he loved her and her great worth, and that, what she wears does matter. It does draw attention. And then the bottom of the blog said, modest is hottest. And that's what the media and everybody picked up on. They loved the fact that a dad would do this, something like this for their daughter, to show his love, but in a funny way, instead of demanding that she change her clothes, but just in a fun way. And they loved the modest is hottest.
And that's our message for the most part, as far as the story goes. Our message was that there's a lot of ways to to speak to your teens and to try to get interaction with them that doesn't have to be so harsh, because we'd had many arguments over it and that wasn't getting anywhere. So now we needed to change it, and we needed to change our approach. And we thought anytime you bring humor into it, that's always going to be a plus.
Yeah, humor, and there's an element here of, I'm not any better than you. And taking a courageous step, because she knew that this was not particularly pleasant for you to show up in your Daisy Dukes, right?
That's for sure.
Absolutely.
It's not like you to do that.
No.
But it meant a lot to her because she knew how important this was to you, because you were willing to take that courageous step. Right. And what a powerful message that is to parents, but also to teenagers. Do my parents really care about me that much?
Absolutely. And that's the biggest part that we got out of this entire event. And that's the main reason we began speaking, was because we saw the need for this. I mean, people were crying out. And we received so many messages, whether it be through Facebook or on our blog or wherever. We just received thousands and thousands of messages. And there was an overwhelming amount of them that said, I wish somebody loved me this much to have done something like that.
Wow.
And so,
from young people.
Yeah, yeah. One was an older person, and that was the sad one. She was in her 60s, I believe. She said she was retired, and that she had never heard that she had great worth until she heard it from her therapist. And nobody had ever told her that. And she was a senior citizen. And so it just broke our heart that there were so many people out there that didn't have somebody that cared about them. And we thought, we've got to get that message out. People need to have relationships to know that somebody cares about them somewhere. Somebody cares enough about them.
Yeah. Especially their parents. I
would hope so.
Well, you think that goes without saying, but apparently it doesn't.
I used to, when I was talking, I would say to them, I would give a talk about how much value they added to their parents' life, because I was so sure they did. And then Becky had to remind me one time that there's literally people out there that don't feel that and don't have that value. Their parents are in a situation where they don't offer that kind of value to their kids. And it's sad. And so we've got to change. We've got to either a teacher or a church leader, somebody. There's got to be somebody that makes them feel that they're cared about and loved. And that's what we're trying to get that message out.
To send that in an authentic, genuine, caring way so that they really feel it too.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that I think is beautiful about your story, Scott, because for you to put yourself in a position where you personally felt uncomfortable or it was a stretch for you, it would have been okay to just stay there in the driveway and do this, but going out in public, and not just in public, but worldwide.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You didn't know you were doing that.
Had not a clue. Yeah, we just knew we needed to take it to the next level to make an impression. That it needed to have an impact.
Which it did. Yeah. I think we've only got just a little bit before we take a little break here, but there's a piece that I'm really curious about. And that is your daughter. Because I haven't heard from her.
Yeah.
But this had to have an impact on her. Start us off with that, Becky.
When this started going viral and our phone was ringing off the hook, she was my first concern. And I asked her, how are you feeling about this? Are you okay? Because it didn't show her in the most positive of light. Yeah,
she's the one that triggered all this, right?
Yeah, and she says, no, I'm okay about it. I'm fine. And nearly every interview, when they would ask her that question, is this changed, your attire? And she would say, I definitely know how much my father loves me, and yes, I do think about it a lot more. It
really made an impression on her.
Yep.
I think we can dig into that a little bit more afterwards. And there's some other messages embedded in this that I think we still can get to today. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
I'll always have a gig, I'll be big. I'll have parties with friends, places to go. The only problem.
Thank you for listening to Live on Purpose Radio. We're so glad to have you here. Please come by the website, drpauljenkins.com, spelled with a D-R, drpauljenkins.com. On the website, you'll have an opportunity to receive a free download. And while you're there, make sure you click on the social media icons. Come over to Facebook, where we will be posting these episodes as well as our YouTube videos and other content and announcements for you to share. Please like us, comment, subscribe, join the conversation. We're happy to have you with us here at Live on Purpose Radio. Let's all support each other to live on purpose. drpauljenkins.com.
This is Kirk Weasler to tell you about morebetterbooks.com. Morebetterbooks.com is where you can find more better books for a more better life. Not only that, let me tell you about some of the very fun and cool select titles on morebetterbooks.com. You'll want to get a copy of The Dog Poop Initiative. This best-smelling book could change your life forever. It's certainly changed the lives of thousands of Boeing employees, as well as school teachers, parents, leaders across the United States and in Israel and in Germany. And you can get your own copy at morebetterbooks.com. Whoa, that's not all. What about The Cookie Thief? This classic tale told in a rhyming format, fully illustrated with very fun hidden messages. Pick up a copy now today on morebetterbooks.com. Are there great titles there? Finding Your Pathway to Mastery, Beyond Illusions, Make It Great. These titles are only available on morebetterbooks.com. Go to morebetterbooks.com today and begin to have a more better life and live that life on purpose.
The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between, the leader is a servant. Max Dupree.
Short shorts. Scott! I don't know if we even need to tell people that you're not wearing them today. Does that go without saying?
Yeah, I get asked everywhere I go, and they all think they're the original person to say it. But hey, where's your shorts? You know,
Yeah.
everywhere I
I
go.
don't recognize
like,
you
oh,
without
yeah.
your
I haven't
I
heard
don't
that
recognize you without
before.
your shorts. I was like, oh, and I just have to laugh like I'd never heard it. So.
Yeah, right. But we had a little chat during the break about how that's what triggered all of this, but that's not your message.
No, it's not. Our message is much deeper than that. It's one of self-esteem building and people feeling of their great worth. We feel a little bit as parents that many times when our kids do things, it's because of the way they're feeling inside. And so we want people to feel good about themselves and to know that they're loved and they're cared about. But as far as the shorts and to wear them again, I had many opportunities to wear them again.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of people asked for it. But the two major ones were big networks back east in New York. And they were going to fly us out and do a show, a couple shows with them. And they wanted me to wear the shorts. And I wouldn't. I says, no, I can't wear the shorts. I said, I don't want to send out the wrong message because this isn't about the shorts anymore. This isn't about me being funny. This is about me teaching my daughter what our standard is. And if I wear the shorts again, then I'm changing my standard. And I didn't want the message to get out that it was okay. I mean, we always dress modest until something big comes along.
Yeah, like fame or fortune.
Yeah, and I could have done a big talk or game show back there. It would have been so fun. I would have loved doing it. But they wanted me to wear my shorts. And I said, no, I'll wear the shirt. You can show the picture. You can do all of that stuff. The picture's been everywhere. But I'm not going to wear them again. And the likeness that I got was, I'm telling youth all over the place that we should dress modest. It makes us feel better about ourselves. But if you're going to something big like a talk show or a TV show in New York, it's okay to change your standard. Or if you're going to something big like junior prom or senior prom, whatever they call it now, that it's okay to change because that's something big and they're going to spend a lot of money on you that night. That's not the message I want to send.
Right. You were starting, Becky, just before our break to talk about your daughter and how this impacted her. What have you observed about that? Has she received the message that was intended? What do you think?
Oh, not entirely. She definitely knows how much her dad loves her, and
that's really the most important thing.
That's the most important.
Mm-hmm.
We have 7 children, and each one of them are, they came with their own unique personality.
Boy, they sure do, don't they?
And we have some that they just toe the line and willingly,
mm-hmm.
and others that like to test things, and
mm-hmm.
she's one of those. She's an awesome girl, beautiful girl.
Oh yeah.
She's one that likes to, do things her own way and on her own time, and we know when we need to step back a little bit and.
You know what? And thank you for being so candid about that, because as parents, I'm a parent. A lot of our listeners are parents. What's our job? Is it to make sure that our kids do certain things? Can we?
Not with some of them.
Not really.
No.
Well, there's this principle that I call agency,
mm-hmm.
where we have choice.
Right.
In driving our own lives. Is that true of our kids?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken us a long time to realize that. We raised our earlier children under thumb and a little bit more harsh. And it's taken us a long time to learn, and it's probably her that's been our best teacher of we need to back off and let her make those decisions. Because when she makes a good decision, she feels so much better about herself rather than us telling her to do something that was good.
So getting back to your comment, Becky, what did she get? She got that her dad loves her.
Mm-hmm.
That was clear.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Because you know what? And I've taught parenting seminars. I've got a CD. I mean, people come to me for advice about parenting. You know what it comes down to? Love them.
Absolutely. When they crawl into bed that night, they need to know that they're loved, and not crawl in feeling terrible and yucky and wondering about their worth,
mm-hmm.
but to know that they are loved, in spite of their choices, or that they are loved.
No matter what,
mm-hmm.
and even if.
Absolutely, yeah.
So will you love her, Scott, even if she wears the Daisy Dukes again?
That's the biggest lesson that I've learned. I had a light on moment where the light just came on in my head.
Wow.
And there was a guy that had taught me this story back in a company that I worked for. I worked for a big corporation. He told us about a guy named Charlie Jones who had gone to the Olympics to be a reporter for the events. And when he got there, they asked him to cover the rowing events, and he thought that was a little below him, that he wanted bigger events like swimming and track. Well, he went and did it, and he had one of his biggest life-changing moments because he talked to the captain of the team, and he kept asking him, well, what about the cadence? How many people are in your boat? How much room do you have in your boat? How do you keep in your cadence so you don't crash into each other with the oars? And then every time he asked those questions, it was always answered beautifully. And then he started asking questions. Well, what about the wake from the other boat? What about the wind? What about the waves? What about the rain? And every time he'd ask one of those questions, the guy would say, "That's outside my boat." And he said, "So just like you got to tell me what's outside your boat." And he says, "I don't have any control over those." And so he says, "All I worry about is what's inside my boat." And so Becky and I have had a big aha moment where we don't try to change the things that we can't control. We look at what we can control, and what we can control is our ability to love. And if we just continue to love, that doesn't mean that we always say, "Oh yeah, I agree with what you're doing." It doesn't mean that. They already know. And I don't have to tell them 10 more times because they already know.
They usually already do.
They already know.
Yeah.
And so all I've got to do is continue to tell them that they're loved. And it really throws them for a loop.
Tell them and show them.
Show them.
Exactly.
That was the power of this story, because you took some very determined action to send a message.
Right.
And it wasn't really about the short shorts at the end of the day. It wasn't about that. There's something there that you wanted to communicate, obviously, but our job as parents is to love them no matter what, and even if. We can't make sure that anything, especially when they get a little older.
Right.
True?
Right.
Well, Chad Hymas said it best when he said that love is demonstrated, not announced.
Yeah.
And so we can say we love somebody all we want, but until we demonstrate, is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really?
It's
love?
more empty words before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Becky, what are you thinking about that? You've been listening in. I know you guys have learned these things together.
We have, a lot of life's lessons. And from this, a friend said, hey, you need to write a book, and here's your title. My husband wears the short shorts in this family. Parenting with humor, courage, and a whole lot of love. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. So, in that book is the first part is the story, the short story.
Yeah.
And then it's followed by 10 life's lessons that we've learned in raising our 7 children. And we're down to just our youngest at home, a boy who's 17.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been in the teenage stage for 17
for
years
a long time.
without a break. Almost 18 years, without a break. And I actually love the teenage stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to really miss it when he's out the door, and I don't know what Scott and I will do as empty nesters without the worry and the fun and all that comes with raising children, especially getting through those teenage years.
And the book's really well written that she wrote, but it's not about the lessons that we taught our kids as much as the things that they taught us. How
isn't that true?
Parents. We became better parents because of the things our children taught us.
How could you have learned it without them?
Exactly. Exactly.
What a gift that is. And I'm getting from both of you this same theme. Our job is to love them. If we can be humble enough to accept that they are people in their own right, they're not little copies of us, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's not up to us to make sure that they anything, but I like the word you used, you enjoy them, as teenagers. Who could enjoy a teenager, right? And I agree with you. My kids, when they're teens, are so much fun. And you see the lights going on about the world and what it's all about, and you see them making choices, and it's quite an adventure. Quite a ride. You mentioned your book. How can people get a hold of that?
They can go to Amazon and either type in my name, Becky Mackintosh, or My Husband Wears the Short Shorts in This Family. That's easier to remember.
They'll find it somehow that way. Yeah.
And they can download it as an ebook. I've got a few in paperback left that they can email me or message me on through our website to order the paperback. The second printing will come out soon, and that'll be available on Amazon.
Oh, also. Good. Yeah. So just through Amazon, and then you have a website too, Life's Short Lessons.
Yes, lifeshortlessons.com.
And there's Facebook connections. There's all kinds of ways people can get a hold of you that way, true?
Yes,
you
absolutely.
You can find us on Facebook on Dad's Short Shorts.
He's got a fan page there that was created by...
Not Dad's, Dad.
Dad Short Shorts.
Dad Short Shorts
on
Facebook.
Created by popular demand. Kind of against his will to have that...
And the picture's still there, isn't it?
The picture's still there, yes.
The picture's never going to go away, Scott.
You know what's funny is the day after this happened, my son saw it, and he said, "You know what, Dad?" He says, "This is going to be one of those things that they'll be talking about at your funeral." And I had no idea how big it was going to go at that time. All we'd done is this little lesson in front of our family, and then when it went big, it was like, oh yeah, we're going to be talking about it a lot more than at my funeral.
An interesting acknowledgement there. You didn't do it for the world. You did it for your family.
Exactly.
That was your purpose. Now, the fact that it went to the world has created an opportunity for you guys to speak to audiences worldwide, to share a message that's a simple message, but an important one, about love, about family, about parenting, about values. And what an honor and a privilege that is. We share an association with the National Speakers Association, and what a privilege it is to have that position. And because this happened, now you're in that position.
It is. It's been a dream that I've always wanted. Didn't have a platform, but now we do. And it's just been wonderful because our message is love.
Yeah. What, in the last few seconds we have, what would you encourage parents to do next? Cut up some pants?
I think that would be the last thing they should do.
That's been done. Sorry, folks.
The biggest thing that we've learned from it is just to quit worrying about, get off our high horse and to quit demanding that our children do things, to be just like us, because they're not anything like us, in so many ways, and to let them be them. Every individual on this earth is a unique person. And why do I want to stop them from becoming who they are to become? Mm-hmm. And so that's the biggest thing is quit trying to make them you. Just let them be themselves and try to channel them in the right direction. That's all you can do, is just teach them the correct ways to go, and hopefully they'll figure it out and do it on their own. But you give them a little room, they'll usually go the right direction.
Because they want to be happy too, don't they?
They do.
And they'll figure it out. So love them.
I'd say parents, greet them in the morning with a hug and I love you, and end your day telling them I love you.
The same way.
Yep.
If that's the last thing they ever hear from you, you've done a great job. Thank you, Scott and Becky Mackintosh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
Everybody go out there and live on purpose.